Okay, welcome to the research proposal structure element of the module. Hope you've enjoyed the classes so far. And the idea with this video is to give you sort of a brief rundown of what we've been talking about in class every single week, and sort of a tool and a reference system that you can look at as you go to write your final assignment. Now, as we talked about before, all of this material is in Blackboard. It's relatively easy for you to find. It's in the assignment folder under the third section, so assignment 3. I've got this up on my screen here so I can follow along with what we're looking at. So under the assessment information folder, you've got a separate folder which is called research proposal. Inside research proposal, you have two documents. One is called example of a research proposal, and that's an actual one you can look at. Please obviously don't copy, but that gives you an idea of what the research proposal looks like. And the second document is the one you were shown in class, which is called research proposal structure. And that's the document I'm going to focus on for the course of this presentation. Excuse me. So 3,000 words. The deadline is December the 10th. And as we talked about in class, you submit via Turnitin. Now, under the assignment link in Blackboard, there are two abilities. One is draft, one is final. So please make sure you get those right. As I said in class, you can submit via the draft one. Don't include your final bibliography and references. Allow yourself 3 or so days to get the response back before you submit the final one, so make sure you work backwards. So the research proposal structure. As we talked about every day in class, a research proposal is a proposal. It's a future plan. It's not actual conducted research. It's an idea you would like to pursue in the future. So everything is future tense, everything is will happen, I would like to do, I aim to, etc. You're not expected to have conducted research, you are simply planning future research. The reason for this assignment is a culmination of everything you've been going through the last 9 and 10 weeks. So you have the opportunity to demonstrate that you understand the process of research, you understand the strengths and weaknesses of a research project, you understand the time frame that one would take, the ethical considerations and possible impacts and outcomes. And therefore the research proposal document is simply that, designed to give you that opportunity. So if you look at the research proposal structure document, which you'll be able to see here, the proposal should consist of various elements. Now, the first one is obviously a title. Now, the title needs to be relevant, it needs to be interesting, it needs to be appropriate to what you're doing. You are coming up with this title. The title is reflective of the topic. You need an introduction or an outline of the proposed study. This is the background, this is the information, this is the context. So you're not going into a tremendous amount of detail. Bear in mind, you only have 3,000 words. But you need to provide enough information that the reader has the ability to understand what it is that you're talking about. So when you did your oral presentations, you weren't going in tremendous detail about the background, but you're providing enough that the reader could understand. That's the point here. You need a rationale for the choice of topic. Why did you choose the topic? Why is it important? Why is it relevant? Is it relevant from a professional development perspective, from an institutional change? Is it national strategy? Is it technology has changed? Many, obviously, opportunities to discuss this, but you need to be able to demonstrate why is it important, why is it relevant, and why should the research take place. You'll need some research questions, usually between 3 and 5, and these research questions, as we talked about before, shouldn't be repetitive, should be distinct, and should be relevant questions, not statements of fact, such as how many teachers are there in the UAE, but relevant research questions that are seeking an answer. Don't worry about being them perfect. Don't worry about them being too many. Try not to go overboard and have more than 5. But this is an opportunity for you to develop your ideas and construct a direction. You would have a critical review of at least one paper or chapter or book in the field, and that effectively constitutes your literature review section. You can use more than one paper or chapter, but again, bear in mind the word count. We've talked about this, that your literature review for a research proposal is to demonstrate your awareness of key texts or relevant texts in the field. Now, this can be in terms of the subject matter, of the theoretical approach, of the methodology, of the government documents. it can be a background and a foundation upon which you are basing. So the point of a literature review is to identify the gaps in existing research such that your research has a direction that it can follow that is new, that is original, that is unique. So the rationale why you are choosing this is both it's interesting, but also it's relevant because it's not been done before or it's not been done in this way before. The literature review provides the foundation and the backing for that claim. So it's not enough just to say it's interesting because I think it is. You can say it's interesting because, and here's the evidence to back it up. So the literature review is relatively condensed in volume. Again, you've got to be careful of the word count. You can choose article, book, chapter, web resource is fine, depending on the nature of what you're doing, but please make sure you reference it correctly. You obviously need a methodology description and section, and this is what we've been talking about a lot, that the methodology must be specific and related to the question. So your topic is the subject area. The research questions are what you're trying to answer, and the methodology is driven by these questions. So what are you trying to get at, and what is the best way to obtain the data and the answers? So we're not looking for a generic methodological approach, we're looking for something that is tailored and relevant. So you need to make the case, this is the best choice for my project because. Now, clearly you can have a discussion about the strengths, the weaknesses, the limitations. So being aware that this is the best case scenario, however there are challenges, that's great. Discussing different options as an ability, so I would like to try this, I may support it by this, that's great. And as we talked about in class, you do not need to provide the questionnaires or the survey question if you're going to use that, but you do need to be able to provide the rationale for why you have chosen this. As we've also talked about in class, if you're going to adapt an existing methodology, for example, you're going to take an existing questionnaire or survey approach, then you would need to be able to reference that, and if you wanted to, you could include the original in the appendix. It's important to have a time plan for what it looks like, and that's included in the slides, just to give you an idea. Again, this doesn't need to be perfect. It demonstrates your ability to understand what is involved in a research project, and what's the order, the sequence, and how long you think they would each take. The timeline is a future plan for if your research proposal was approved by a funder today, how long would it take you? What would the next steps be to take you to the end? The timeline is not an account of how long it took you to do this assignment and not how long it took you to do the reading. It's a future plan. It's worthwhile talking about the limitations and the challenges of the research project, because again, that provides us with a contextual understanding of what it is you're trying to do and demonstrates that you're aware of the natural difficulties that you would face. You can include an appendix or appendices if you choose, and I've talked about what might be included in those. They are not included in the word count, and so that can be helpful depending on how your writing's going. As you'll see from the Word document research proposal structure, it talks about an annotated list of suggested bibliographic sources. An annotated list means a mini review, I suppose, of each of the texts. And if you look at the example of a research proposal document in the assignments folder, you will see at the very end what an annotated bibliography looks like. Now, depending on how you construct your research proposal, you would certainly need literature referenced in the main document. But depending on your word count, you may not have enough or ability to talk about it in detail because you are critically reviewing one, but not multiples. And so the multiples you can include in the annotated bibliography. So at the very least for a research proposal, you need a list of references that you have included. And the annotated bibliography, which I would like to see in your submissions, provides me with a little bit of information about key texts, not an exhaustive, but key texts, so somewhere between 3 and 8 perhaps, which gives me an indication that you've read a little bit about around your area and you've thought about it. And again, these can be references in terms of case study approach, methodology, theory, subject matter. Again, it's a broad area. It can even be a resource on how to write a research proposal. That's equally fine. So the purpose of the research proposal assignment is a plan of future research. Take everything you've learned over the last 9 to 10 weeks, think about how you construct questions, how you construct topics, how you plan your action, what will come first, what will come second, etc., etc. The literature provides the foundation. You include a rationale. Why am I doing this? Why is it important? Why should it be funded, for example? And then a timeline as to how you would do it, and limitations, and then a discussion about what you would do with the research at the end. And again, all of these categories are listed in the document. So it boils down to, what is my topic? Why am I doing it? What's it based on? How am I going to get the data? What am I going to do with the data when I've got it? So how will I analyze it and report it? And what's the outcomes? Right? And that's essentially the basis of a research proposal. If in any doubt, follow the structure, look at the example up on Blackboard, and have fun with this. This is your opportunity to be innovative, to be creative, to be reflective. You've worked hard all semester. This is the opportunity for you to really demonstrate how much you have understood and the nature of your ability in the research arena. So, good luck, and thank you very much.